let's go.
And I'm moving with couple killers with screws.
Oh yeah.
And I'm moving
We in the balcony, partying like a monster.
And I'm moving with couple killers with screws.
Well, I've been painting since I was 12. Actually, before that. I remember when I was in kindergarten, reading class, they used to give us the Peter and Jane books to take home to read. I used to take them home and draw the pictures. I try to paint them, then bring the books back unread. So I guess I just used to read the pictures. Well, this particular mural is inspired by the actual architecture. This was a church. When I was approached about the project, I jumped to it because I wanted to do something that had historical significance. You know, I just didn't want to do like a bank or just a regular institution or a regular wall, because most of my art is about struggle, is about history, is about challenge and learning from the experience. So the first thing I did after I was approved for the spot was I went to the archives and I researched the history of the building, because there was some, you know, some issues about what the church really was, like what was it used for, because some people said it was a church for the pirates, some people said it was a church for the slaves, because of the Vandal house right next door where the slaves were sold, which is now the Pompeii Museum. So I went to the archives and I was able to do some research, and Gail Saunders and Penelope Nottage were able to help me out. And we found out that this was actually a mission church for the sponge fishermen back in the day, and it was built in 1894. And then it was converted into another building, actually a couple other times. So it was post-slavery, so we know it wasn't with pirates, and I guess from that information we could say it wasn't really for the slaves. So I decided to incorporate a little bit of the history. So at the top you see sponge fishermen with their poles, and in the background I'm starting to block in the masts from ships in the background, because this was a sponging area. And the church was actually called St. Cuthbert's. And St. Cuthbert's is a saint, obviously. Can't remember where exactly it was from, but I think it's English. And so I think that is a very important part of the whole project too, knowing who the church is named after. And gives it a different look, a different feel, because it's a lot more personal. You begin to sort of engage in a dialogue with the history of the church. Even touching the wall, you could feel the coldness, you could feel how solid it is, you know, because it endured through so many years. The strength is very fortified. So just being able to move my brush across it is, every time I learn a little bit more. Like I say, it's a dialogue. And the project for the Downtown Renewal Program is Love My Bahamas. And you know, it's forward, upward, onward, together. And so at the top, I was thinking about incorporating the scroll that said, lift up your head, you know, as a part, because it's a part of our national anthem. And I think as Bahamians, we have a lot of pride, which is a good thing, national pride, you know. So this being one of the first buildings on Bay Street, I wanted to sort of hit that message home, you know, lift up your head, even though you might be going through some trials or tribulations or whatever, economic or relationship-wise, socially, you might be going through some problems, but you always have to take time to remember that you gotta lift up your head, you know. So at the bottom, I incorporated the Chankunu figures. One is blowing a horn, the next one is sort of praying, thanking God, or basically praying for deliverance, or whatever it is that the viewer really sees it as. But I use this because it incorporates a little bit of our African history, you know, especially with the slave house being right next door. I think it speaks about where we came from and where we are right now. we really delve in culture a lot more in that way. So I wanted to give it a sort of dynamic motion, and I wanted to work around the architecture as opposed to just work over it. And that's why I have all the figures, the composition, basically bending around the molding, bending around the windows, because I want to preserve the beauty of the building and at the same time respect it.